Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you.
He was the smooth-singing, knee-swinging, undisputed king of rock and roll.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time.
And no one knew Elvis Presley better than his wife and partner of 14 years. Priscilla, what a pleasure it is to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us on the project.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's nice meeting you as well.
Your kisses left behind like the sweet soul of a choir, and you light my morning sky burning love.
Inducted into 5 Halls of Fame, selling more than 1 billion records and landing 14 Australian #1s, Elvis's mark on music has continued well after his death.
A little less conversation, a little more action.
Let's go back in time. Let's go back to 1959. You were in Germany with your father at a party, and the biggest rock and roll singer in the world walks through the door. Can you tell me what it was like, that moment when you first laid eyes on Elvis?
I was very nervous, obviously. I knew who Elvis Presley was by his records, like we all did. I knew he was gorgeous, and I had a friend who was a fan who wanted me to be part of a fan club. I didn't know what a fan club was. And she had an Elvis Presley magazine. She opened up the magazine, and she said, "This is Elvis," and it had Elvis signing his autograph on a girl's breast. I thought that was disgusting. Mind you, I'm young at this time, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm turned off. I don't want to see this. When I first had the opportunity to meet him and walked in the room, there was so much energy, charisma. I didn't know what that was back in the day, obviously, but he was sitting in the chair, and he looked over and he said, "Well, what do we have here?"
Wise men say, only fools rush in. Oh, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Having met when she was just 14 years old, Priscilla and Elvis's 8-year courtship before their marriage was unconventional, to say the least. And the harshest critics were Priscilla's own parents.
My mother said, "You're not walking across the street to see that man."
Your mother didn't like Elvis?
Well, no, because back in the day, the way he moved, obviously, all the publicity about him, some was bad.
That publicity would grow to include Elvis's infidelity.
It's hard to hold a marriage together when you know these girls are all interested, and it's always living in fear that there's going to be one out of those girls. And there were many, but yes, it's difficult, living the rock and roll life and being Elvis Presley.
I love you, and I always will.
I have to talk about Elvis's fashion at the 68 comeback special, as it became known. That black leather suit he wore should have been illegal. It was possibly the sexiest performance I have ever seen. And you were there that night.
Yes.
What was it like behind the scenes there?
Shocking. He looked so beautiful. I mean, he did so well. And believe it or not, that's the first time I've ever seen him on stage or singing in front of people. Because he just started out again. That was his first time in 9 years, I believe, that he performed. I went, oh my gosh, I'm getting it.
Right. I now get why all these people are screaming.
Elvis Presley.
But all that screaming came to a grinding halt in 1977. Like anyone who was alive at the time, I can remember exactly where I was when I heard the news that Elvis had passed away. Can you tell me about that moment for you?
Oh yes, I'll never forget it, ever. That particular day, I was meeting my sister. We were going out together. I saw her in the street, and she was waving me down. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Joe Esposito was trying to reach you." I turned around in the middle of the street with traffic, and I was rushing like crazy, running red lights, everything to get to the house. As I pulled in my driveway, I can hear the phone ringing. So I I was so nervous, couldn't get the key into the door. I finally did. The phone kept ringing and ringing, and I picked it up. And I said, I answered the phone, and he goes, Scylla, it's Joe. I go, Joe, what's going on? What's happening? He goes, Scylla, Elvis died. And I could not believe what I was hearing. Yeah, it was hard.
Still affects you now, doesn't it? 45 years on. I know that there was a point after Elvis's passing when you were advised to sell Graceland and you didn't. Was it tempting?
One of the attorneys came up and he said, the best thing we have to do is sell Graceland. We had no money. Those were fighting words to me. And I told him, that will never happen. And that's what I rolled up my sleeves.
Priscilla swiftly turned Graceland into a multi-million-dollar business. It's now the second most visited historical home in the US after the White House and has been designated a National Historic Landmark.
If I can dream of a better land where all my brothers walk hand in hand, tell me why.
Priscilla continues to share Elvis with the world, working with the Bendigo Art Gallery to bring us Elvis Presley direct from Graceland. Featuring more than 300 artefacts, the collection boasts a rare insight into Elvis's colourful life. Why did you decide to showcase all of these beautiful pieces to the world?
Basically to keep Elvis's legacy alive. That's really what I'm interested in, you know. He's been gone 45 years now. It's hard to believe. It's still close to my heart. And I feel that the people here in Australia, to give them a chance to see these artifacts and to go down memory lane and to give it to young children who want to know who is Elvis Presley and why is he so famous and popular.
Well, as well as this wonderful exhibition, of course, it's a bit of an Elvis fest at the moment because Baz Luhrmann is just about to release the Elvis movie.
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Get a haircut, buttercup.
How involved have you been in that movie?
Well, not in the movie as much as Baz had my private conversations with Baz about when he came to my home about 3 times. I promised Baz that I wouldn't see it unless he was there because he asked me. He said, please don't see it. I want you to see it.
I would imagine he's going to be very nervous.
He is very nervous. He has emailed me. In fact, he knows I'm here. So he wants to know if there's any opportunity to go back to Sydney so he can arrange our sitting.
Austin Butler plays Elvis in the movie. Do you think he's going to get close to the man that you knew and loved?
I don't mean this to be an insult, but I really don't know anyone who could really fit in his shoes. I haven't seen anyone at all that can portray Elvis, but I heard he did a great job.
I can see that you still feel incredibly connected to Elvis 45 years on.
Oh, yes.
What do you miss about him most?
Everything. There's nobody, I've never met anyone with the charisma that Elvis Presley had. You felt him coming down the stairs. He had an energy about him. And not only that, he was so caring, loving. You know, he's very special.
Thank you very much.
And that he was. Elvis Presley, direct from Graceland, opens at the fabulous Bendigo Art Gallery tomorrow, March 18, and will run until July. Tickets are on sale now. Head to our website for all of the details.